it's Roz, here for a non-tag Tuesday book tag. I'm trying to do some record things at the weekend because my weeks are too ludicrously busy at the moment and I'm not getting to record things then. So we'll have a Saturday early evening book tag whilst my lovely Steve is cooking toad in the hole for supper. That's serious coronavirus lockdown comfort food, toad in the hole. I'm sure you'll agree. What's your coronavirus lockdown comfort food? Do tell me. Now this tag that I'm about to do is the We Ain't Getting Any Younger book tag, which I found came across Sean the Book Maniac doing it, and I loved the prompts so much that I had to go and find the original, which was from CodeX Cantina, and so it's an original tag by Crypto and Una. Well, I presume by Una because it was in to celebrate Crypto's birthday. He's 40 years young to me anyway, and so I commented that I really hope someone would tag me with it soon because I liked it so much. So being the very nice, charming young gentlemen that they are, they tagged me, of course. So let's go for it. Really silly prompts, but they're good ones. The first one is, while it's proven that too many birthdays can kill you, the amount of cake we can eat is still under debate. Actually, I think I can eat almost infinite cake, but we'll leave that to one side because the bookish bit of the prompt is name the most recent book that gave you a sugar book high. And the book I'm going to name for this is Lanny by Max Porter, which it's not that recent I read it. It was the middle of last year, but it was one of those books that I absolutely remember it giving me, yes, that kind of exhilarated rush that I think Crypto and Una may mean by that question. It's a controversial book. A lot of people really liked it, me included. Other people hated it. Now, Mark Nash, I think, whose opinion I have great respect for, value highly, but I think that he hated it, and I think he thought it was a bit kind of pseudy and fey and silly, whereas I really quite like the whole new folk gothic kind of genre that's around at the moment, and it's short and poetic, and I really enjoyed it. Yes. I just think it's one of those books where you have to just go with it and not stop and be critical. Just go with the flow, and then you get the exhilarating rush that I did. Second question. Sometimes we get older and wider instead of older and wiser. Yeah, I think I've got older, wider and wiser. I'm claiming both. However, the question is, name the longest book you've ever read. So I had a bit of a think about this, and I decided couldn't count things that come in parts, like Proust, say, and to ignore kind of non-fiction or epic-y religious things, I thought I'm going to stick with novels or I'm going to go mad trying to think about this. And the last thing that I read that felt really, really long was 2666 by Roberto Bolano. But when I went back and looked, it was only 912 pages, which is long, but not that long. Similar length, the Mirror and the Light that I just read for March of the Mammoths. I love March of the Mammoths. I'm looking forward to it again next year. I'm already thinking what I'm going to read. So then I thought War and Peace. Has to be War and Peace. That is 1,225 pages in the edition I have. But it's not the longest thing that I have on my shelves that I've read, because that is A Suitable Boy, which is 1,349 pages. So there we go. Next question. The best part about pictures, I think they mean photos, yeah, is that they're always a younger version of you. Yeah, true. Not necessarily younger and prettier, younger and thinner, but they are younger, it's true. Name a book that you enjoyed more the first time you read it than the second. Now, the one I've chosen for this is Wuthering Heights. because the first time I read Wuthering Heights, I was probably, I don't know, 14, and I thought it was really romantic and exciting. I was kind of blown away by it as a book. I read it again in middle age, as it were, probably in my late 40s. Yeah, I guess mid to late 40s, and I found it quite disturbing and unpleasant as a book. I mean, still amazing. You know, I wouldn't deny it. It has a kind of a genius, but as a mature woman, it was like, this is kind of this abusive. Like, the relationships in it are horrible. This is like the work of a disturbed mind. I don't mind books that are work of a disturbed mind. In fact, I think they're rather interesting. But yeah, definitely, I didn't enjoy it second time round in the way that I had the first time round. It's also kind of worried me a bit about what it did to my head at the time, and how, and it's interesting about how books must colour your kind of sense of love and sexuality and so on as a teenager without you realising it. Anyway, by the by, another question. As you get older, you must learn to never skip a bathroom break before jumping in a car ride. So true, completely. Actually, lovely Tilly, my daughter, who you know, when she was doing her continence training in her nursing course, was told that actually you should skip bathroom breaks. You should learn to wait till you really need to go, and then wait even longer, because that's how you make sure that you don't become an incontinent old woman or old man. So that's my bit of advice for you today. However, the principle's right. So name a book you read in very few sittings, with a subsidiary question. Have you ever walked to the bathroom holding a book and then blindly fumbled for the door handle? Well, yes, obviously I do all the time, all over the place. Yeah, of course so, because I like reading in the bathroom as well. But yeah, the actual question, book I read in very few sittings. Well, just the other day, I've been comfort reading a bit of P.G. Wodehouse, and I was reading a lovely Jeeves and Worcester book, yeah, I read it in, basically I went and lay in the garden to recover from a busy week of work, and more or less read it cover to cover, one go. Yeah, but they're not that long, and they have a kind of a familiarity that means you just kind of suck them up just like that. Lovely, great comfort read. Question number 5. Don't let old age get you down. Why would it? It's great getting older. However, because it's harder to get you back up these days. These prompts are based on the kind of stupid things you get in Hallmark birthday cards. Yeah, and that I think I recognise that one. But yeah, it's much nicer, I'll tell you, being in your mid-50s than it was being in your mid-20s. Absolutely, for sure. But that, again, is by the by. The question is, name a book that you had to put down and why. Okay, well, that one was easy. I very rarely, no, I almost never bail on a book. I choose them carefully to start with, and some of the books that have given me the most satisfaction in the long run, if I allow myself to just put them down in the first sort of 50 pages or so, I'd have missed that opportunity to grow and develop with the book. So I'm not a great bailer unless I realise that something is just I've completely misjudged it and it's really tacky and just not worth reading. But the book that I've had to put down since we've gone into the kind of whole COVID-19 lockdown is Ulysses, which I was really enjoying and will really enjoy again. But I just couldn't do the kind of really intense picking apart reading of it that it really asks you to do. That's not the mood that I'm in at the moment. So that's one I had to put down. I'm reading the questions because they're such long-winded ones. I couldn't possibly remember them from my laptop behind the camera, which is why I sort of suddenly peer over. That's why. Okay, so the next question. Age isn't how long you've been alive, it's how many lives you've lived. Yeah, well, yeah, though most of the extra lives I've lived have been in books. However, name what book genres have you been wanting to try outside of your comfort zone? Well, given that I'm in my mid to late 50s, there aren't many genres that I haven't at least had a go at over the years. And when people say, oh, I want to read more of this around, well, yes, I probably have. And there's not really ones outside my comfort zone that I'm really wanting to get into. About once a year, I decide I'm going to have a go at graphic novels, and because I ought to like them, because people say they're wonderful, and every now and then I hit on one that I really enjoy. Persepolis by, I've forgotten her name, Iranian writer and artist. Brilliant graphic novel, that one. I mean, there's a few that stand out, but generally, I just think, why am I doing this? This isn't what I really enjoy. I like the visual arts, and I like words, books, but I don't really like when you try and mash them together. Not really. Anyway, the genre that I am about to dip into, is it a genre? I guess it's a genre, is books about religion, because Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse has and someone else, and I've forgotten who, which is awful. I'll remember and put it in the notes. Another booktuber, I think. They're doing a thing for May called maybe Midrash, and Midrash is like a kind of study of religious books. It's like a Jewish term, and they've asked us, even those atheists amongst us, to read a work of fiction and a work of non-fiction to do with religion. And I thought, yeah, that would be interesting. That would be a good kind of intellectual challenge for me, and I would say spiritual challenge if I kind of understood what that meant, because I'm a very unspiritual person. But yeah, so that will be my genre I'm going to try. That is definitely outside my comfort zone, I have to say. Question number 7. Life gets worse the older you get. Luckily, you don't have much left. What cobblers? As I say, life gets better for the most part until your body stops working, and I hope to have another 40 years maybe. Yeah. The only thing that worries me about how much time I have left is that I did a calculation about a year or two ago about if I read around 100 books a year, how many books I had left to read, and assuming that at some point in my 90s I'll lose the capacity to read as many as 100 a year, and I was horrified that I only really have a few thousand books left. Wow, that really concentrates your mind to choose your books carefully. Anyway, the question is, now let's get this right. Name a book that slowly turned sour for you, but you finished anyways. Were you glad you stuck it out? Okay, the book I've chosen for this, and I had to think about this quite a lot. I didn't want to pick one of those books that, you kind of realise that it becomes a bit naff, boring and irritating part way through. But actually a genuinely book that turned sour. And that is Stefan Zweig, Beware of Pity. Now, I don't want you to get the impression from this that I don't think this is a good book. This is a very, very fine book, a classic, for a good reason. It's probably his best known book, maybe his finest book. I don't know, I haven't read enough to say. And it's a psychologically fascinating book, but it's about a man who becomes friends with and then is kind of manoeuvred into agreeing to marry a woman who is beautiful and charming and lovely, and he is a bit of a soulmate maybe for him, but she's disabled. And he is horrified by her disability. And I just found that I couldn't really stomach that. Now, there's a whole thing, isn't there, about whether we should wish books from the past to have the same politically correct values that we might have now. That it's ridiculous to expect Shakespeare to have to be a feminist, or to expect Victorian novels to have the same views on race as we would wish to see now. But this book was written in I think was it 1939? No, that's a translation. So I wonder. I would have to quickly look in it to remember which year it was originally written in the original German. But it is an old book, but not that old, and it's a really interesting exploration, I guess, of attitudes to disability, including the attitude of the disabled character herself and her family. But it still just went sour for me. I just found myself revolted or distressed or disturbed by that depiction of disability and attitudes to disability. So that's the one. I did finish it, and I was glad that I did. It's a worthwhile book to read, and don't let my reaction to it put you off too much. Time for a quick slurp. I'm book tagging Sean fashion because I've got not a glass of wine but a gin and tonic, which I need this evening. No, don't need. You never need a drink, do you? But I'm enjoying this evening, put it that way. So, last question. Peer pressure seems to decrease as you get older. Yeah, I think that's true, actually. Where did all your friends go? Oh, loads of friends. Silly. But I know, Hallmark cards. Yeah. Are they Hallmark cards in other places? Is that just a British brand? They kind of classically make the cards with the awful little phrases inside. Name a book that you checked out because of peer pressure. Were you happy to have tried it? Now, my first thought, given this sort of tag, was to talk about books that I've read in the last year or so where like everyone's reading them, so you read them and they're really disappointing. Like Normal People was one for me. It wasn't a bad book, but didn't do it for me. Celeste in Little Fires Everywhere, that was another one. It was a very sort of meh book for me. So that was peer pressure, but I thought, no, the one I'm going to pick is Terry Pratchett, Guards. And the peer pressure that made me read this was my son Alfred, who's turned up on a few of these videos, but when he was kind of in his teens, early teens, and he went through a phase where basically all he seemed to read was Terry Pratchett books. And I used to say, oh, can't you read something other than that, Terry Pratchett? Oh my goodness, heavens above, there's about 70 of them. He's got a whole bookshelf full of them. You need to vary your reading diet more. Why? What a irritating mother I must have been. And he said, before you go on criticising me reading loads of Terry Pratchett, you do have a look to read one because I bet you'll really enjoy it. So peer pressure was that I read this one, which he selected for me as a good entry book for Pratchett's Discworld, and it was brilliant and I loved it. It's hysterically funny and witty and intelligent, and I was very glad I read it. So, what a nice tag. Last prompt, of course, is friends don't let friends get older alone. Tag people. So, and you know what? I don't know who else has already been tagged for this. I will tag Hannah because of Hannah's books, because she's like me, a more mature woman who might enjoy this tag. I will tag a younger person, which is Christy Lewis, and another younger person, oh God, I've forgotten her name now, wonderful American woman, soggy expat in Wales. She makes me scream. It's because I quite like to get a younger person's version on this tag. So those are my tags, and happy days everybody. I'll see you soon.